this is Christy Fulk with Create with Christy. Here with another card that my ladies made at my camp last night. This one features the Free as a Bird bundle. Aren't those birds gorgeous? I just think they're so cute. And the neat thing, I'm going to show this on here because the DSP I ended up using didn't have a bird in the section I cut off. But see how I coordinated it so the birds match the paper? And I've even done the flowers so they match the paper. So that's what I love about our coordinating, that you can make things work to where it looks like you went and bought this. Except it looks a little nicer than the ones that you can buy because it's got a lot of pretty layers. So let me show you the stamp set. It's Free as a Bird. This is probably my favorite one, but I like this guy too. On the flowers, it's just a gorgeous stamp set. And you can bundle it with the stitched, I'm trying to remember the name of this, stitch nested labels. If you've watched any of my other videos, I've always talked about how the stitch shapes dies are my favorite. These are a close second, maybe even passing up the old shapes one. I love the shape of these. I love how we've got all these different sizes. I also love how there is a stitched one, so if you want a stitched line, like a border, you can do that with this. So really good die set, definitely worth your money. But I love how it is bundled with this. So if you like the stamp set and the dies, of course you can buy them separately, but if you buy them together as a bundle, you'll save 10%. So another really good deal. I love our bundles. And then I'm also using the Bird Ballad trinkets. Bunch of little trinkets in it. We've got leaves, flowers, keys, and bows. I think you get 8 of each if I remember right. Very neat. They're so pretty. I love the brushed, I'm not sure if they're brushed chrome, but they are, that they're really pretty. So this is the card, and we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, let's bring in all the pieces of paper that you need. You need a piece of Pool Party. This is for the card base. This is a 5.5 by 8.5 piece. A Petal Pink piece. This one is 5 1/4 by 4, and I have embossed it with a Country Floral 3D folder. Love this folder. You also need a piece of Whisper White that's 4 by 5 1/4, and this is going to go on the inside of the card. And then you need a piece of Whisper White that is 5 1/4 by 3, but I went ahead and die cut it with the largest die in that die set I just showed you. And then here's a piece of the Bird Ballad Designer Series paper. It is 5 1/4 by 2. Like I said, this one, when I cut it, the whole sheet has birds on it, but this one section I ended up cutting out didn't have any. So, but I'm still going to be able to coordinate it with the flowers, so it's a pretty neat. Okay. Oh, and of the ribbon. You need a 15-inch piece of the very vanilla lace trim and 2 little 2-inch pieces. And I'll show you why since I was already using a lot for the top, I wanted to only use a little bit, and I'll show you how that works here in a minute. Makes it so you save some ribbon. Okay, let's go ahead and fold this cardstock in half to make the card base. Make sure the corners match up. Use your bone folder to get that good crease. You can set that aside. Now I'm going to go ahead and grab my Petal Pink embossed piece and my Designer Series paper piece. Grab my multi-purpose glue. I'm going to put some, and I'm using glue instead of snail because I think it works a lot better when you've got an embossed image. And it helps when you hold it in your hand because you don't get too much glue. When you've got it down on your table, sometimes you squeeze out too much and you get more control. Put this across the top, kind of hold it down, push it down all the way across so it's good and secure. And now I'm going to bring in these little 2-inch pieces, and I think I'm going to go ahead and use glue dots on each end. So if I take the ribbon and I put a glue dot on this end and a glue dot on this end, then I'm going to wrap it. The only thing it's going to show is just a little bit of ribbon here. I didn't like how these came together, and I wanted just a little bit ribbon where it showed, that border showed. So you put it put like 2 scallops right below the Designer Series paper and bring it around. Make sure it stays straight and attach it to the back. So you've got that. Now I'm going to do that on the other end. Okay, now both the ends are done. We're going to go ahead and set that to the side because we're not ready to put that on the card base yet. I'm going to go ahead and bring in the inside of my card. This is the 5 1/4 by 4 inch piece, and we're going to stamp this little single bird with the Tuxedo Black Memento pad. Make sure get good and inked up. Stamp him in the bottom left corner. Hold it down for a few seconds. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the "Your friendship means the world to me" as a greeting inside. Okay. Go ahead and put that to the side. I'm going to get all the stamping done right now. Now I'm going to bring all that little bird family out and get it good and inked up. If I can get a hold of the ink pad. There we go. Make sure you get it all inked up. That looks pretty good. I'm going to stamp it near the top center. Hold it down for a few seconds. There we go. And the last stamping is this one, "We're the Best of Friends." Put that near the bottom center. Put that down. There you go. All set. That's all the stamping we're going to do. So we'll go ahead and get that out of the way. And I'm going to bring in some Stampin' Blends. We need the Crumb Cake combo, the Petal Pink combo, the Old Olive, Daffodil Delight, and then the Color Lifter. So we'll go ahead and get to stamping these guys first. Actually, I think that needs to dry a little bit. I'm going to let it go. We'll do this one first. So I'm going to say, I always start with a dark color, but you can start with a light. It just depends on how you like to do it. But I like to go over where I think it should be dark, so I'm kind of doing where the little lines are with the dark crumb cake, and I'm doing all his wings there, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and do his head. Too. I'm going to do the ones on the front a little different, but I like this guy having his head, the crumb cake. Then bring in the light, and I'm going to color the whole thing except for his stomach, going over the dark that I just did, and making sure I get it good and blended. Now you can see that's a little too stark of a difference. If you can look, I want this to be a little more gradual effect, so I'm going to go over the dark area with the light, and that's going to blend it in a whole lot better. Now you can see it's blended a little better. It looks more gradual, more natural looking. Okay, now I'm going to do that with the tummy. So everywhere I think, oops, I like using the brush tip. You can use whichever end you like. I use the blunt tip when it's really small. But you can get pretty small area with this as long as you use a light touch, and make sure you don't scrub. I've had a few tips because people were scrubbing them too hard and the tips are getting frayed, and you don't need to do that. Just do a nice light coloring in. And whenever I do the dark, just make sure it's jagged, it's not straight lines, because that won't make it look natural. Now I'm going to bring in the light one. This is the Petal Pink, in case I didn't tell you that color again. And then I'm going to blend it so it's not such a stark difference, so the shades blend in together better. Much better. And then just because the beak is so small, I'm just going to use the dark daffodil. I'm not going to bother. There we go. So he's all ready to go. Now I'll bring these guys in. Looks like I got a little ink down here, but I'll take care of that later. I'm going to color in. These guys are going to be a little different. I'm just going to do the crumb cake wherever it looks like there might be a wing, because I want them to match. Here, I'll bring this in again. See how these are? Their heads are still the Petal Pink, but their wings are the crumb cake. So I wanted it to match up with that. So I've got the dark one again. Not going to use the dark much at all, just wherever I see some little lines. I'm going to do a little bit right there. Some of these guys don't get much at all. They're mainly pink. But there's a wing there. That looks pretty good. Now I want it to make it look like there was a little bit of a wing here. There is actually a little bit of a wing there. Now I'm going to bring in my light and get that colored in. Make sure I'm going over the dark again so it's blended. There we go. And this one. Okay, there we go with the crumb cake. Now I'll bring in the Petal Pink. And there's a line there. Here's some lines there I want to make with the dark. And I go over it a few times so it really saturates the cardstock, because you actually want it to bleed through the other side. So I'll show you on here. You can see how the color has bled through, and you actually want that. Oh, and I missed, before I forget, there's a little bit of a wing there. So I'm just going to do a little bit of dark, but mainly the light with this guy. And I'm just using a really light touch. I know that's a small area, but that point is so sharp I can get that on as long as I don't push down too hard. Now I think I got all the wings. So back, oh, don't want the dark, I want the light. Light petal pink. Color these in, and you can even go over the crumb cake a little bit so they blend in really well. Okay, now sometimes when I get done with it, my dark might lighten up more than I meant for it to, so I'll just go back and add just a very little bit of dark. Some of these I kind of blended a little too much. That's a nice thing about the blends. If you do it too much, you can go back and fix it. Just keep playing with it till you have it the way you like. Now I'm going to show you how you can get 3-tone effect. I know there are only 2 shades here. I'm going to bring the color lifter in because I wanted their stomachs to look a little bit lighter here in the middle. So I'm going to take my color lifter. Just kind of do like a little bit of an oval. Not a perfect oval. These are birds you don't want to have. And it'll start lightening up here a little bit. It may not lighten up the very first time you do it. It's got to soak in a little bit. I'm not sure if you can tell, but if you make this for yourself, you'll be able to see it. But that makes the stomachs just a little bit lighter. Okay, now I'm going to bring in the old olive. Now this is going to show you what I mean about how the tips fray if you push too hard. See, this one is really, really frayed. It's not real easy to use, so I think I'm going to end up having to use the blunt on this one because that one got a little frayed last night. And with these being little bitty leaves, it's probably a little easier to do the blunt tip anyway. That's a nice thing about having the blunt tip. You can, if your image is real small, then you want to use it. You have options. That's what I love about them. Okay, I'm getting all the lines. Like I said, not perfectly, just a little bit, because leaves are not going to have perfect straight lines. Now I'm going to go over them with the light, making sure I blend in the dark shades with the light. Okay, now we're going to do the yellow flowers. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the dark, and I'm just going to do, like the ones that have centers, make the center flower, the flower centers dark. But then there are some that don't have flower centers, like this one. So I'm just going to do it like at the base of the flower, because I want to just have that two-tone effect on those two. Okay, those are all of those. Bring in my light and color them in completely, going over the dark again. Oh, and it looks like that one got frayed a little bit, so we'll do the blunt tip. Now with the blunt tip, you do have to push a little harder. That's what I like about the brush tip. You don't have to push hard at all. Okay, the flowers are done. I need to do the beaks, and I like doing the dark daffodil more, and I'm going to use the blunt tip again just because they're so small. Okay. And now I'm going to bring my crumb cake in again and do the branch. Oh, I missed a leaf. Hold on a sec. Get that dark in there. Get the rest of it colored in with the light. There we go. Now we'll bring in the dark crumb cake again. And because this is small, I'm going to use the blunt again. And wherever there's some lines on this, I'm using the dark. Now some of them are their feet. That's okay to make them a little dark because that can be like the shadowing of them standing there. Okay, and then bring in, actually I'm going to do the brush tip on this one since it's a long piece, and that'll get it done a little quicker. Oh, I missed another leaf. My goodness. This didn't happen the first time I made the card. but that's okay. You just go back and color them in. Here we go. So I got this little guy right here, easy to miss. I think I'm just going to do one line there and color the rest of it in with a light. Okay, now it looks like I got all the leaves. So that's all the color you need to do there. And I'm going to start attaching some things together. I'm going to bring the embossed piece back in, and I'm going to put this on with dimensionals. So before I do that, I'm going to put on an embellishment. Now on my card I used the flower, but I think this time I'm going to use a bow. I think that bow is really pretty. Let me see, get that up a little higher so you can see it. Very pretty. Oh, I've got some ink on my thumb. Okay, base of my thumb. I'm going to bring in my glue dots. Put the embellishment directly on the glue dot. If there's any of the glue dot showing, I can kind of fold it. Looks like I put one too much to the side, so I'm going to grab another one and get it on the other side. That way it's not wobbling on me when I put it on the card. Okay, I'm going to put it at an angle. I'm just going to lay it down until I've got it where I want it. That looks pretty good. Now I'm going to push it down. So the glue dots really adhere them very well. That's on there really, really good. So I'm not going to have to worry about that falling off. So now I'll bring in my dimensionals. I'm going to put one in each corner. I'm not going to worry about the point because having the two right here will keep that point up with no problem. And I think I will go ahead and put one here in the middle since this is so long. That way I've got a little support there and it doesn't start caving in. Okay, then I'm going to put this guy right here in the middle and kind of have it so those points are pointing to the top of the ribbon. That helps you get it on straight too. Now we could have stopped there, but I wanted to have a ribbon bow here. So what I'm going to do, you want to bring in your 18-inch or 15-inch piece. 18-inch will work too, of course. And I want to tie a bow here in the middle. And it doesn't have to be this way, but I kind of like having the scallops facing down. If you don't care, it doesn't matter. But what I'm going to do is to keep it so they stay both sides down. I kind of twisted, let me show you again. I kind of twisted this a little bit from behind. So the twist is going to be in the back, and that'll make it so they're both facing down. Well, there we go. I just play around with it till they're both twisting down. And this one stayed down, but this one's got the scallop going up, so I'll just twist around with that. And once it's on there, it's going to be just fine. So what I'm going to do, it does help if you anchor that bow. So you've got these nice long tails. Now this one's longer than the other one. That's okay. You don't have to worry about it. But I'm going to go ahead and put a mini glue dot on the back of that knot. And then I'm going to put it actually on the bird layer. So it's going to be right there in the middle. And now it's not going to move around on me. And then I'm going to take these ends and wrap them around the back like so. So I think it's actually easier. I probably could have made that a little bit longer, but I'm going to make it work. So I'm going to put some snail adhesive back here, or you can use the glue dots. I want to make sure that's straight. Wrap it around. It's ready to go. And this one's going to go on like that. And see how I've got that? I was able, because I twisted it around, I was able to get all the scallops to face down. So don't be afraid to do some adjusting once you've got it tied. I just keep twisting until it's going the way I want it to. So that's ready to go. Now we're ready to put it on the card base. So once again, since this is embossed, I'm going to use my multi-purpose glue and make sure I get some on the ribbon too. Oops, kind of dropped it there. And I could cut this big long piece off, but I'm going to leave it. Turn this over, put it right in the middle of the card base. And that's it for the front. Now we want to make sure we get this guy on the inside. So once again, you can just use the multi-purpose glue, but since I've got both of them out, I'm just going to use my snail like I usually do. And put it right inside in the middle. And the card is done. Isn't that pretty? I think that's such a good friend card. Anybody'd love to get that. So I hope you enjoyed today's card, and I gave you some tips on the blends. I love the blends. I color with them probably more than I color with anything else now. They're so much fun. If you were interested in getting a $50 shopping spree from me, make sure you check out the Doily Rewards program. I've got a link to it below in the video description. It's real easy to get a $50 shopping spree. I like to reward my customers. And if you want to follow me on my blog, you can also follow me on my Create with Christy blog, my Facebook page, and my Instagram page, and Pinterest. I keep forgetting to do that. I've got a Pinterest page too. All the links are below in the description. If you want to be notified every time I do a video, then you'll want to make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel, and then you'll get notified whenever I do a video, so you won't miss any of my videos. So I hope you have a great day. See you soon.